I thought I was marrying the man of my dreams, until his mother asked for the PIN to my bank card, and my fiancé said I should give it to her. 10 minutes later, he tried to stop me from leaving. What happened next sent him to the hospital and destroyed our wedding forever. But the most terrifying part, the warning signs were there from the very beginning, hidden behind a perfect smile I was foolish enough to trust. If someone had warned me that the most dangerous man in my life would arrive smiling instead of shouting, I probably would have laughed. At 32, I thought I understood people. My name is Daisy Gordon, senior sales manager at one of the biggest construction firms in Los Angeles. Every day, I negotiated contracts worth millions with aggressive developers who underestimated me the second I walked into the room wearing heels and carrying a tablet instead of blueprints. But they never knew my secret. After work, I traded business suits for kung fu uniforms. Martial arts wasn't just a hobby, it was the only place where my mind became quiet. The city championship trophy hidden in my closet meant more to me than every corporate award combined. Thanks to my martial arts training, I had a toned, attractive figure, and maybe that's why Frank noticed me immediately. We met at an outdoor music festival downtown. Jazz floated through warm California air while people laughed under strings of golden lights. I almost didn't go that night because I had training at 6 the next morning. I should have trusted that instinct. "You look like you're planning your escape route," a male voice said beside me. I turned. Tall, dark hair, green eyes, expensive watch, perfect smile. The kind of smile that instantly lowers your defenses. "I'm not," I replied carefully. Frank grinned. "You counted your phone 4 times in 1 minute." I blinked. "You counted? You interested in the band, or are you secretly running a company from that phone?" I laughed before I could stop myself. That was the beginning. And looking back now, that scares me most. Not the violence later, not the screaming, but how safe he made me feel at first. Over the next weeks, Frank became part of my routine so naturally it felt dangerous. Morning texts, coffee deliveries at work, late-night drives through Los Angeles while he talked about family, stability, loyalty. "You know what I like about you?" he asked one night, watching me across a restaurant table. "What?" "You don't need anyone." The way he said it made my chest tighten, because no man had ever admired my strength. 2 months later, he proposed during sunset in Malibu. And God help me, I said yes with tears in my eyes. But the first crack appeared immediately. "We'll need a bigger wedding venue," Frank said casually one evening. I frowned. "Why?" He barely looked up from his phone. "Mom already started the guest list." Something cold touched the back of my neck. "How many people?" Frank hesitated. "About 90. I stared at him, and for the first time since meeting him, that perfect smile didn't comfort me anymore. The first time I met Sophia Hunter, she hugged me like she was testing how tightly she could hold someone before they stopped breathing, and somehow Frank didn't notice. Her house looked frozen in time. Plastic covers still protected the furniture even though her husband had died more than 10 years earlier. Every picture frame showed only Frank. Baby Frank, teenage Frank, graduation Frank. Not a son, a possession. Sophia opened the dining room door with a polished smile, which didn't look natural. "So," she said slowly, looking me up and down, "this is the woman who finally distracted my son." I forced a laugh. Frank kissed her cheek. "Mom!" But she kept staring at me. Sharp eyes, calculating eyes, the kind that measure people. Dinner turned into an interrogation within minutes. "How much do sales managers make at your company? You own your condo? How much is your mortgage? And after marriage, you'll still work those late hours?" I set my fork down carefully. Frank kept eating. That hurt more than her questions. Then came the wedding dress incident. I showed Sophia a photo of the gown I'd chosen. Elegant silk, fitted waist, simple neckline. The moment she saw it, her lips tightened. "Oh no," she said instantly, "that doesn't look respectable." My stomach dropped. "I love it," I replied calmly. Sophia smiled coldly. Young women often confuse attention with elegance. The room went silent. I looked at Frank, waiting for him to defend me. He rubbed the back of his neck. Maybe Mom just means something more traditional. That sentence hit me harder than I expected, because suddenly I wasn't choosing my own wedding dress anymore. I was applying for approval, and things only got worse. Sophia began controlling everything: flowers, menu, music, invitations. One evening, I went to the apartment Frank and I shared and nearly burst into tears. My furniture had been moved. Heavy floral curtains covered the windows. Old-fashioned porcelain filled my kitchen cabinets. Sophia proudly folded towels nearby. "I fixed the apartment," she announced. I stared at Frank in disbelief. "You let her redecorate our home?" "She was helping," he muttered. Helping, that word again. Something cracked quietly inside me that night. Not loudly, not critical, just enough for doubt to finally enter my heart. Because for the first time, I realized I wasn't marrying one person. I was marrying a system, and Sophia Hunter was the one truly in control. 10 days before the wedding, Frank asked for my bank card. And the terrifying part, he asked like it was completely normal. We were sitting at his kitchen table assembling wedding invitations while Sophia circled the apartment like a supervisor inspecting employees. Frank reached for my wallet casually. "Give me your bank card for a second," he said. I looked up. "Why?" "I'll save it in my phone. Easier for wedding expenses." Something inside me tightened immediately. "I can pay for things myself." Frank sighed like I was creating unnecessary scene. "Daisy, we're getting married." Across the room, Sophia smirked without saying a word. I slowly closed my wallet. No. The atmosphere changed instantly. Frank leaned back in his chair. "You don't trust me?" There it was, the guilt trap, the manipulation hidden behind wounded eyes. "It's not about trust," I answered carefully. "It's about boundaries." Sophia laughed softly from the kitchen. "Boundaries disappear in real marriages." I wish I could explain the feeling that crawled through my chest in that moment. Not fear yet, something colder. Recognition, like finally seeing the shape of the cage being built around you. 3 days later, everything exploded. I arrived at Frank's apartment carrying courthouse documents and final payment receipts. I genuinely wanted peace. I was exhausted from fighting over every tiny decision. Sophia opened the door, smiling too warmly. "Perfect timing," she said. "We need to discuss finances." My stomach dropped. Frank was in the shower when Sophia poured tea and sat directly across from me. Then she said the sentence that changed my entire future. "You should give me your PIN number." I froze. "What?" "For groceries, household expenses, emergencies." Her voice stayed calm, almost sweet. "I'll manage things properly." I stared at her, convinced I had misunderstood. My PIN number? We're family now. "No," I said quietly. "That's private." Her expression hardened immediately. "You're selfish." At that exact moment, Frank walked into the room drying his hair. "Tell her," Sophia snapped. "She refuses to help this family." I waited for him to laugh, to defend me, to say his mother had gone too far. Instead, Frank frowned at me. "Daisy, seriously? It's just a PIN number." My heart broke right there at the kitchen table.
not loudly, silently. Because in that moment, I understood something devastating. They didn't want a wife, they wanted control. And for the first time since the engagement, I started planning how to escape. I will never forget the sound of the apartment door closing behind me, because that was the exact moment Frank stopped pretending to be a good man. My pulse hammered in my ears as I walked toward the elevator, clutching my purse so tightly my fingers hurt. Behind me, Sophia's voice echoed through the apartment like poison. "Look at her running away. That girl would have ruined your life." I pressed the elevator button. Once, twice, come on. Then Frank grabbed my arm, hard. Pain shot through my shoulder. "We're not finished," he hissed. I yanked back instantly. "Yes, we are." People always imagine abusive moments happen suddenly. They don't. They build slowly, one humiliation at a time, until the mask finally slips. Frank stepped in front of the elevator doors, blocking my way. His face looked different now, colder, angry enough to scare me. "You're embarrassing me over nothing." "Nothing?" my voice cracked. "Your mother demanded access to my money." "She was trying to help," he argued. "No, she was trying to control me." The hallway fell silent, and then he shoved me. Not enough to knock me down, just enough to show me he could. My chest tightened with disbelief. This was the same man who kissed my forehead every morning, the same man who promised to protect me.
Sophia suddenly appeared in the doorway behind him. "Frank, stop letting her disrespect you," she snapped. "She needs to learn." Learn. That word hit me like ice water. Frank moved toward me again. "You think you're too good for this family?" I stepped backward automatically, and then I saw it. The change in his shoulders, the tightening jaw, the raised fist. Years of martial arts training exploded through my body before fear could freeze me. Frank swung. I dodged instantly. My fist slammed into his ribs, then another punch, then a kick. Fast, sharp, precise. Frank crashed backward into the hallway wall with a sickening thud before collapsing to the floor, groaning in pain. Sophia screamed so loudly a neighbor opened their door. "Oh my God, you psycho!" My entire body trembled violently. Adrenaline burned through my veins. But deep down, beneath the shock and terror, was relief. Because if I hadn't defended myself that night, he would have hurt me badly. Frank curled on the floor, clutching his side, while Sophia cried over him dramatically. And standing there above them both, I finally understood the truth. I hadn't escaped a bad marriage. I had escaped a nightmare. 2 months after the fight in the hallway, Frank called me from an unknown number. I almost hung up. Almost. "Daisy," his voice sounded weak now, careful. "I made a mistake." Funny how men suddenly find clarity after losing control. I stayed silent. "I was angry," he continued quickly. "Mom got involved. Things went too far. Please, let's talk." For one dangerous second, memories hit me hard. Malibu sunsets, late-night drives, the man I thought I loved. Then another memory crashed into it. His hand gripping my arm, his fist flying toward my face. And just like that, the illusion died again. "No," I said calmly. "It wasn't anger, Frank. That was when you showed your true colors." I hung up, blocked the number, and for the first time in months, I breathed freely. Healing didn't happen overnight. That's the part nobody talks about. Some mornings I woke up furious. Other days I sat in my car outside work, fighting tears for no reason at all. But little by little, I became myself again. Training helped, work helped, peace helped. Then, almost a year later, life surprised me. I met Gabriel after he accidentally stole my parking spot outside a bookstore. He stepped out of his car, looking embarrassed. "I swear I didn't see you." I laughed, despite myself. That's exactly what guilty people say. Unlike Frank, Gabriel never tried to impress me, never pushed, never controlled. And when I finally told him everything, he looked at me quietly and said words that nearly made me cry. "Love should feel safe, Daisy. Safe. Not exhausting, not frightening, not controlled." We married quietly 6 months later. No giant wedding, no screaming relatives, no manipulation. Just love. Real love. Sometimes I still remember that hallway, but it no longer feels like the moment my life fell apart. It feels like the moment I finally saved myself.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.